Veteran pilot Dan Hampton is investigating the case of the Douglas C-54 that went missing in the Alaska Triangle in 1950.
This was called a Form 14, and it's the report of the aircraft incidents. And what this indicates is they did not know the cause of the accident. They're very plain about that. They can't find the crash site. The weather was not a factor, and the last reporting position was over snag.
The Douglas just goes missing. There's no distress calls whatsoever. It has just disappeared from the face of the earth.
1,000 miles down the coast from Elmendorf in Vancouver, Canada, journalist Johnny Enoch has uncovered an unlikely series of events.
During the search and rescue effort, there were over 85 planes looking for the C-54. That's when strange and unexplained things started to happen, leading investigators to believe that something wasn't right. There was something mysterious and bizarre going on.
An airplane was participating in this search and rescue, crashed down here near the southern end of the triangle. In this particular case, they stalled, they crashed, nobody died, and the pilot walked about 13 miles to the Alaska highway, and everybody got rescued. On the 7th of February, another aircraft goes down. This time it's a C-47 in the southern part of the search grid. No fatalities, but again, what caused it to go down? There's always an investigation when a military aircraft has an accident, especially a crash. And in this case, they never disclosed what exactly happened. But the fact the military never said anything about it is suspicious.
Just over a week later, a third search plane went down, very near to the last recorded position of the missing Douglas. But the fourth plane to crash was the most significant, and this wasn't one of the search planes. It was twice as big as a Douglas, with a cost of over $4 million. That's over $40 million in today's money.
On February 14th, the last in this bizarre string of occurrences happens. A B-36, which is a nuclear bomber, takes off from Eielson Air Force Base north of Elmendorf, and it's heading for Fort Worth, Texas, nonstop.
The nuclear bomber was on an exercise, simulating a strike against the Soviets.
Keep in mind that we're talking about a period before the invention of the intercontinental ballistic missile. If you're going to deliver nuclear weapons on target, the only way to do it is via a long-range bomber. And most of the Soviet Union and the targets they want to reach are quite far away, so they have to test these things.
The B-36 flew out west over the Pacific before turning back into the Triangle, with the coast in sight as it was returning towards Juneau. The plane lost all power. The Mark IV atomic bomb was jettisoned into the ocean. The airplane then crashed into Mount Kodiak in British Columbia.
The plane goes down and is lost, along with the nuclear weapon and several thousand pounds of conventional explosives as well.
The bomb was never found. It was the first loss of a nuclear bomb in history.
The American military planners, of course, worried about the loss of such aircraft. I mean, these are very, very valuable assets. There's always the fear that anything lost is something that the Soviets are going to recover, and they're going to make every effort to keep it out of the public news. And a lot of the information we have about these disasters really only became available when the records were declassified, so it remained a mystery for quite some time.
4 airplanes lost within a 30-day period, including a frontline nuclear bomber. What is going on inside the Alaska Triangle?
Hostile Soviet activity is ruled out. The military had to start considering other possibilities.
The first thing that leaps to mind is some sort of electromagnetic interference with the magnetic navigation instruments on board. That's all they had.
Alaska is not just remote, it's northerly. In that part of the world, there's all kinds of strange magnetic forces at play that you don't see anywhere else.
I think the presence of strange electromagnetic and gravitational anomalies could be the reason for many of the instrument failures and plane crashes plaguing the Alaska skies.
In 1948, in Kentucky, in what is known as the Mantell incident, a young pilot was killed after losing control of his aircraft while pursuing a UFO. In 1958, in Snag, the very area where the Douglas was last recorded, two men out on a moose hunt reported a metallic oval UFO hovering above a marsh. The theory goes that the C-54 was overpowered by superior technology, and that's why the plane's never been found. But a few weeks after the Douglas disappeared in Alaska, there were strange signs that the plane might still be out there.
On the 2nd of February, faint radio signals were heard.
This is what had the search teams continuing to hold out hope that they were going to find the C-54. So for example, here's a story from February 1st out of Whitehorse, Yukon Territory, which is right around the first of the main search areas, that you had faint radio signals on the distress band, which raised hopes that this C-54 was going to turn up. And there were 44 people on board, so they really wanted to find this plane.
People could hear chatter of people talking, but not able to make out what they were saying. And it wasn't just in one location, it was scattered around the area.
You can't pinpoint where they're coming from. Can you imagine hearing these voices? You're struggling to make out what they're saying, but it's too distorted. It's too distant. It's kind of human sounding, you recognize that, but there's something just wrong about it. Imagine how eerie that must have been for the people who were picking this up.
The radio messages continued to taunt the search teams for days after the Douglas's disappearance. But gradually, they became more distant. Faraway voices, magnetic anomalies. This evidence has led some experts to come up with a startling idea.
One of the theories about what happened to the Douglas is that it flew into a portal, which is a gateway to another dimension where time and space are different from ours. If you think for a moment that this plane could have flown into a vortex, into a portal, then what you're faced with is the possibility that you're hearing sounds coming back from another dimension.
There is a lack of information being released about the incident of the Douglas aircraft disappearance.
And this has led some to suspect a conspiracy.
There's a deeper horror behind some of these stories that they don't want people to necessarily know.
But for now, the answer to the puzzle remains hidden. On November 7th, 1986, one of the most infamous UFO encounters occurred in Alaska. Once safely on the ground at Anchorage Airport, the case of Flight 1628 was investigated by the Federal Aviation Authority.
This is a remarkable case because this isn't some reported sighting in some backcountry area where someone could be making something up. These are professional, career-focused pilots that are telling us that they had a sighting in the sky and it startled them.
The FAA's senior investigator, John Callahan, prepared a file on Flight 1628's near miss with a UFO. He then briefed the FAA about his shocking conclusions.
John Callahan was blown away by the amount of data that they actually had. UFO data, not just seconds. Over 30 minutes of data to comb through, radar data, coupled with the voice cockpit recordings. If you listen to the cockpit recordings, you'll hear Captain Terauchi extremely concerned about what he's looking at. He's looking at something 5-6 times bigger than a 747, and he's unable to identify this thing. And you can hear it in his voice. The guy's freaking out. John Callahan did not believe in UFO encounters prior to this incident, and after reviewing the evidence was convinced that UFOs existed.
An urgent meeting was convened with the CIA the next day, where John Callahan presented his disturbing findings.
They reviewed the evidence, they reviewed the cockpit recording tapes, and they were all silenced and told that this matter was classified top secret and not to ever speak about the incident.
John Callahan said that when they briefed it at the national level, there was a person from the intelligence community there who collected all the paperwork afterwards, said this is classified.
The CIA officials said, we're going to confiscate all the radar data that you guys have, and told him, I was never here. This meeting never took place.
But word did get out. Captain Terauchi told his story to reporters and recreated his initial sketches for the world's media, as seen in this photo. Under pressure of the media spotlight, the Federal Aviation Authority went public 4 months after the event.
The FAA held a press conference denying that there was proof of any unidentified flying objects that were captured using radar. They attributed this to an illusion called a split radar image.
The Federal Aviation Authority claimed the blip seen tracking Flight 1628 was no UFO, but a shadow created by the Japanese airliner itself. Former FAA investigator Jim Derry questions this explanation.
The FAA even produced a rather elongated report telling how this kind of shadowing takes place, but any radar specialist that I have talked to before or since denies that that was any kind of a radar shadow.
So how has Flight 1628 become one of the most well-documented cases of a UFO incident in U.S. history? It's thanks to John Callahan, who in 2001 went public with the cockpit recordings and radar data, contradicting the FAA's statement.
He had made copies of the cockpit recordings, of the radar confirmation, every bit of investigation that took place with the FAA. John Callahan had kept copies at his desk because they tried to cover this incident up. So if it wasn't for John Callahan, no one would probably know about the details of this incident.
As a result of the publicity, Japan Airlines grounded Captain Terauchi for 2 years. But pilot Dan Hampton believes the evidence revealed later by John Callahan vindicates him.
As a pilot, I am always skeptical of non-pilots, even other pilots that say they've seen something strange. But Captain Terauchi is a professional commercial airline pilot. He's an ex-military aviator with over 10,000 hours of flying time. And he knew very well that by saying anything about this, it would impact his career, and it did. But I have to say, in all honesty, after looking at all the evidence, reading the transcripts, and analyzing it from my standpoint, I believe him.
Flight 1628 also opened Jim Derry's eyes to the many reports of UFOs in the skies above Alaska.
I haven't seen any UFOs, but I have interviewed people, a lot of people who have seen them, to include many pilots. Considering the size of the universe, for us to think that we are the only life form out there is extremely egotistical of us. We don't know what's out there.
Indeed, what else is out there? Are there other mysteries waiting to be discovered? And what might the U.S. government know about them? The JAL incident had a lasting impact on all involved, and no one more so than Captain Terauchi. Now in retirement, he's withdrawn from the public eye. It's the dead of night in Skagway, one of the most haunted places in the Alaska Triangle. In former gold rush brothel, the Onion Saloon, paranormal investigator Mike Cook is trying to communicate with the spirits who passed here. An aggressive bouncer, John, and a former prostitute, Lydia. But perhaps these entities are hampering his investigation.
Look at that. The camera actually shut off. This is a brand new system.
The interference appears to come from Lydia's room, where she hung herself.
Wow, look at this. Right there.
Mike spots some kind of orb.
Literally comes from where the light is and just shoots straight at the camera. I seriously feel like there's somebody here, but I just don't know who.
So Mike goes up to Lydia's room to investigate.
Ooh, it's strong right now. It is strong. Ooh, who's up here? Hey, Lydia, is that you? Whoever's up here, I can feel you.
Using his spirit box, Mike listens for messages while it scans the local radio frequencies.
Lydia, can you come say hi to us, please? Yeah, that was a female. Lydia, is that you? That is going nuts.
Something's entered the electromagnetic field surrounding Mike's REM pod device.
Lydia, is that you? Can you make it go off again? See? It responded. As soon as I said do it again. When people see her or feel her, they get a cold breeze. And that tone right there means there's a 5-degree temperature change in the room. That's the area where they've said they've seen her apparition of her hanging. Lydia, did you hang yourself? There's something in this room.
Minutes later, a sound in the hallway.
Ooh, I heard something. It was like a breath, like someone breathing.
And this is the same hallway that the ghost of the murdered bouncer, John, is said to stalk.
John, is that you down at the end of the hallway? Yo. It literally sounds like somebody's walking down there. Like just back and forth, back and forth.
If this is John, Mike senses him moving downstairs to the bar. This is where the bouncer kicked the clients out after their 15 minutes spent in the brothel.
Who's here with us in the saloon? What's your name?
Mike uses his spirit box to reach out to him.
Oh my God.
On replay,
What's your name?
it sounds like the name John.
Oh my God. That was just... Who am I talking to?
But there's no more word from the evil entity John. So Mike considers a change of tack to try and communicate with the spirits.
I want to turn the lights on because what I really want to do is get the atmosphere the same as it was when people have seen these apparitions or felt them or heard them.
Mike moves the electromagnetic sensing REM pod into the hallway where he heard footsteps, perhaps from bouncer John. Mike waits for a response.
This thing is going nuts. It just stopped. It just stopped. Everything was going off. That is the most that we've seen tonight. And this is the hallway too. Holy cow.
No more from the REM pod device. But in Lydia's room,
Oh, it's going off, man. Something's over here.
it seems some kind of apparition has appeared on Mike's infrared light sensor camera.
The way it works is it actually emits a infrared laser grid. And so anything that comes into that laser grid field and manipulates the dots, it'll actually outline the apparition with that.
Any human shape that's detected is shown on screen as a stick-like figure. This strange form could be Lydia herself.
Wow. Lydia, is that you? I think that's a mirror. What you're seeing there's a mirror. And then a lampshade. It's crazy though. It's tracking whatever's right there. Oh my God. So it's looking right here at this case and this lamp and this mirror. Now it's gone. Wait, there it is. There it is again. Oh my God.
Then the apparition seems to disappear.
I'm not getting anything right here anymore. Oh, what is it picking up now? That is over. That's over by Lydia's corner. That's pointing at Lydia's corner.
And this is the corner of the room where Lydia is said to have hung herself. Then, it seems, the spirit vanishes. No more signs from the ghosts here. But for Mike, it's been a successful evening at the Red Onion Saloon. It seems the entities of evil bouncer John and working girl Lydia are both trying to send him some kind of message.
I don't know what exactly they said, but I do know that they were trying to communicate, so that was pretty interesting. This place is phenomenal. This place definitely has spirits.
The haunted highways of Alaska. Drivers have reported numerous paranormal experiences across the state's 36,000-mile road network. Phantom headlights have been reported by many locals. One case occurred recently in Fairbanks, in the middle of the Triangle. Christina Gum had an unexplained sighting on a road on her way home from work.
It was about 6, 7 o'clock-ish. I just got some gas because I was low on gas, and I was heading towards home, and I was kind of daydreaming, And I noticed out of the corner of my eye some lights up in the hill. I kind of watched it for a second, but I noticed pretty quickly they'd flashed and disappeared, which I thought was kind of strange.
These phantom headlights had appeared by the local cemetery. But the road there was impassable due to heavy snow. So how could a vehicle have got there? Christina went to investigate.
I stopped and kind of looked around a little, kind of stuck my head out the door, but I didn't hear anything. So I was like, maybe I'll come a little closer in the cemetery, but there was no tracks. There was no signs of anyone really that's been up here for a good couple of weeks. So it was like, okay, I'm officially spooked.
Christina came to one unsettling conclusion.
I automatically assumed that this was like a ghost or something. It kind of scared me a little. There is a couple people that have been killed up here by vehicles. So it was like, well, what if it was one of their people reliving their past?
And Christina's not the only Fairbanks resident to experience these ghostly phenomena on local roads. paranormal investigator Mike Cook has been researching roadside ghost sightings connected to the region's past.
There's been a lot of gold mine collapses or copper mines, or, you know, a lot of the miners went out and they just weren't adequately dressed. They would catch pneumonia, they would die, and they're just stuck in that place.
One woman recently reported a gold rush ghost sighting just outside of Anchorage in the south of the Triangle. It was 3 a.m. on a cold winter's night as she crossed Briggs Bridge over Eagle River.
She was touring Alaska, she was in her RV. She comes around the corner on this bridge. She looks up and sees a man right in front of her. Scares the living daylights out of her. So she puts on the brakes, and then right in front of her eyes, he disappears, just gone. She gets out, and she's looking for his footprints in this freshly laid snow. And there's no footprints.
But it was the apparition's appearance that most spooked the driver.
According to the report, he had this very old look to him. Maybe a gold panner. You could have died in Eagle River, right around this bridge. A lot of the miners were moving north, and so they could have easily stayed somewhere along this area. So her story of it looked like an old miner could be very plausible.
All set, Mike heads out onto the haunted bridge, armed with his ghost hunting equipment.
This is the spirit box. It scans multiple radio frequencies, and it's said that spirits can talk through the white noise of these radios, and then the REM pod hopefully will detect some energy here. We'll do a quick reading here. Set it up right here.
If electromagnetic energy increases, the device lights up, suggesting a spirit is present.
Is there any spirits on this bridge or underneath? Is there a man out here, an old man? Oh, did you see that? The lights are flickering. Is that you? Oh, look at that, that's even stronger.
Perhaps this is the old miner. Mike reaches out with his spirit box.
I did hear something right there. It was very, very faint. Were you trying to communicate? Couldn't really hear what it said, but I did record it, so I'm gonna go back to the command center, try and replay it, see if I can grasp anything out of it.
Mike heads back to process the electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, he's just captured.
So this is recorded at the very end of the bridge. I definitely hear a "buh" at the end, but I can't make out what the beginning is. At first I thought it said "you could see us." It's pretty interesting. Sounds like a male figure.
To find out who this spirit could be, Mike heads back out for clues underneath the haunted bridge.
I want to see if there's anything going on underneath. There have been reports of some graffitied satanic symbols, and then there was a death that happened on this road just 2 months ago. So hoping that if anything happens, it'll show up underneath the bridge. Oh, geez. What a couple of ravens. Scared the crap out of me.
Once again, Mike starts his spirit box.
Is there anybody under the bridge? Is there any spirits here? Did you die in this area?
For gold rush ghosts, nowhere else is more fitting. In summertime, Eagle River could be panned by many seeking riches.
This river is completely frozen, so we're gonna cross the river, go to the other side, and see if we can't pick up something. Is there anybody out here? What am I got myself into? Is there any spirits here? Any entities? I thought I just saw some movement up there. I saw some kind of light move from right to left over there by that wall. Are you around here? I just caught something right there. That was crazy. That sounded like a howl or a growl. Yeah, listen right here at the very end. Yeah, it's there. It doesn't say anything, it's just a ooh, but that could be a spirit trying to use the box and come through. And then what else is weird, this camera was just charged before I came down here, fresh battery, and now it's dead. So, probably drained the camera battery to manifest in some sort and come through my spirit box.
Mike returns to his control center to check out this second electronic voice phenomenon.
There. That is a howl. That is crazy. We caught both EVPs from the same side, the north side of the bridge. So it tells me that there's something there.
Mike's investigation will continue.
The mystery's still open. Still could use some further investigation, definitely, for sure. There's something out there.
One of the most haunted mines in Alaska is Independence Mine at Hatcher's Pass, high in the mountains of the Alaskan Triangle. An experienced ghost hunting team has been conducting a thorough investigation, trying to reach out to the spirits.
We didn't seem to find any unusual electromagnetic activity. However, the spirit box seemed to be responding to us. Normally it makes a bunch of gibberish sounds, but there were some distinct words that did come out of the box. It was just kind of difficult to understand exactly what it was trying to tell us.
The clearest sounds were recorded on the audio track of a low-light camera that they'd set up in an old bunk room at the mine. We've sent this footage to paranormal investigator Jeff Richards. As a ghost hunter himself, Jeff is well practiced in the use of these spirit boxes.
In this clip, we see an investigative team, and they're using a device that moves through banks of words and draws them based on environmental readings that are being taken, electromagnetic frequency, temperature, humidity, different things. The idea is that spirit can manipulate the environment to draw out certain words.
Teacher.
So we do hear the word teacher. And then we hear words that might be drunk, possibly bottle.
Help.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I can clearly make out the word help. That's certainly what it sounds like to me.
Help.
It's entirely possible, though, that these words are coming from different spirits. It's not uncommon to have 2 or 3 spirits try to communicate once that doorway of communication has been opened.
Back at Independence Mine, guide Christy Short is preparing to view the same footage from the ghost hunting team. With a good knowledge of the mine's history, if anyone can make sense of the words from the spirit box, it will be her.
Is there someone in the room?
Looks like they're in the bunkhouse.
Teacher.
Teacher? Whoa.
Lake.
Lake?
Help.
Out?
Out?
Net.
Net. I heard net.
Can you help?
Send more help.
Why? Right.
Okay, so what I've heard so far is teacher, outside, net. Send more help, wine, drunk. The hair on my head is standing up right now. This is so crazy. So I'm sitting literally in the teacher's desk. There were 2 teachers that taught here when the mine was open. There was Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown, his demise is really sad. He actually, during the summertime, went to a fish trap and he died. And there was the second teacher that was here, and his name was Mr. Dickey. And Mr. Dickey, he got caught under some ice and drowned. So both teachers that were teaching here at the mine died. I'm a little freaked out right now. Oh my God, I'm shaking. Oh.
The spirit box, I do believe that they give us a direct way to communicate with the dead. We can hear their voices coming through in a very direct way, and the Alaskan Triangle could be the draw for spirit from the other side.
Christie's been shaken by what appears to be references to the 2 teachers, but nothing has prepared her for what comes next.
Help.
What's your name?
No. What? Oh my God. Wow. Actually hearing that? We have to go upstairs. We have to go upstairs. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. Right here on the wall, it says Holiday. He died July 1st, 1941. That's really intense, actually. Why am I crying? So, yeah. I don't know anything else about Mr. Holiday, but I know that this is here.
The writing on the wall reads, Holiday, July 1st, 1941, died in the bullpen.
Like, I'm shaking and like the hair keeps standing up on my head and on my arms, and I know I'm not cold. I'm wearing like 2 pairs of pants and 3 shirts. That's just bizarre.
It's thought that Mr. Holiday died in this very room, known as the bullpen, possibly after sustaining an injury. The inscription on the wall was written by his fellow miners as a memorial to him.
Ah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Oh my God.
It sounds far-fetched, and obviously it's impossible to prove. But some of the results of these spirit boxes are extraordinary. This is Alaska for you. This is where the paranormal comes alive. And Independence Mine just epitomizes the weirdness that goes on in the Alaska Triangle.
There does seem to be a heightened level of activity within the Alaska Triangle. Spirits do seem to be almost alive, more so in Alaska than other parts of the world. It is a state that was based on a high degree of hope. We have numerous individuals who came to Alaska because it was this amazing frontier where they were trying to make a better life for themselves. Sometimes that didn't work out. Sometimes there were tragedies attached. Sometimes those aspirations were met with disappointment. All of these things do tend to bring about a stronger connection for the spirit to the physical world.
And there's nowhere where this connection is stronger than at Independence Mine at Hatcher's Pass. For Christy, life at the mine will never be the same.
I am blown away. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. Genuinely, that was freaky. That was freaky.
Sea monster legends have been with us since time immemorial. But some legends have proven to be true, including that of the giant sea serpent.
For hundreds and even thousands of years, there's been legends of sea serpents, horrific snake-like creatures, terrifying sailors. But now we understand they're most likely talking about the oarfish, this huge snake-like creature in the water that grows to over 30 feet in length. This tells us that legends are oftentimes based in reality.
Around the Gulf of Alaska, sea monster legends are a part of everyday life. On its east coast, across from Kodiak, lies the small community of Haines. Here, Sonny Williams is a third-generation fisherman, and his story takes the search for an Alaskan sea monster to a whole new level.
I spent 50 years of my life on the water, just more or less lived on the water.
Having spent so much time at sea, Sonny ventures to places others dare not go. And one morning in the early 2000s, he found himself over 100 miles down the coast.
The place is called Salisbury Sound, and I was right there. Water flows out of there like you turned on the faucet or something. It's definitely very dangerous there.
It was in Salisbury Sound that Sonny saw something on his sonar unlike anything he'd ever seen before.
First I saw a whole bunch of salmon, and the next thing I saw was like a really big head that was swimming along, snapping up all the salmon. And it was amazing. I turned around and went back and looked at it again, and it was still there. It was about 40 fathoms down, and I went over the second time, and I saw the whole thing.
Even though Sonny was viewing the animal on his sonar, just like in the sonar image from Kodiak, the outline was perfectly clear, and he's still able to visualize the monstrous creature.
It had fins, and it just had a really long neck and a really long tail. It was some type of dinosaur. Just like the dinosaur from the picture books, exactly. I was just like, wow, that's, it's alive all this time? It's been out there?
Even for a dinosaur, this animal was big.
At the time, I was on a 40-foot boat, and it was twice as long as my boat.
What Sonny saw sounds very similar to the Kodiak sea monster. It could be evidence that a dinosaur-like creature inhabits a wide stretch of the Alaskan coastline. And now, further evidence has come to light from a small group of tourists who were on a sightseeing cruise. They stopped at a glacier just to the east of Sonny's sighting. Here, they witnessed large chunks of ice collapse into the sea. Shortly after this, what appears in the tourist video is a series of what look like humps emerging from the water, 3 in front, followed by 4 behind. It's as if some mysterious beast was woken from the depths. The tourists watching were convinced this was one creature, with its vast body hidden beneath the surface. But an even more extraordinary video comes from fishermen from Nushagak Bay in the southwest of the Triangle, just 125 miles to the west of Kodiak. It appears to show a huge serpent-like sea creature swimming just offshore. This creature looks too big even for an oarfish. In fact, the humps resemble the head, body, and tail of a giant dinosaur-like creature. Whatever it was had those watching totally mystified. And these were men who know the sea and the creatures within it better than anyone.
What the heck is that?
These multiple sightings could mean a living population of prehistoric sea monsters. Lance Hightower, for one, seems convinced.
So the question arises, is it possible that one creature is being seen by numerous people? Or do we have a population of these plesiosaurs breeding? And my feeling and belief is that when you see one, there's others around. That is what makes this story very fascinating.
In the Alaska Triangle, reports and videos of UFOs are becoming increasingly common. UFO witness Michael Dillon is just one Alaskan resident who suspects something is afoot. Having already witnessed what he's convinced is a UFO, Michael's now determined to find more evidence and is on a nighttime stakeout above his hometown of Palmer. It's not long before something catches his eye.
Here we go, we got something moving. I just caught it in the eyepiece.
Over the course of the night, Michael had several curious sightings. But it's only on reviewing his photos afterwards that the full extent of these sightings is revealed.
We're actually able to catch 3 at the exact same time in multiple frames. 2 of them are moving in the same direction, and 1 is moving perpendicular, and they pretty much cross each other.
On the screen, these look like meteors, but they can't be. They're not moving anywhere near fast enough.
The 2 moving in the same direction, about the same light level, but the one that goes across is much brighter.
A long exposure on the photos means that the direction of travel of the unidentified objects can easily be seen, especially on the brightest object.
You can see the movement through the photos all the way up. We didn't see any blinking, we didn't see any marker lights, nothing of different colors, which usually would indicate an aircraft. There's a lot of stuff flying over Alaska right now. This is pretty crazy.
But it's not just in the skies that there have been mysterious sightings.
We have reports that UFOs have been visiting the Alaska Triangle, but what's even more exciting to me as a researcher is that we also have reports of them landing here.
Surprisingly, the claim that this photo shows the markings of a UFO landing may have some ancient evidence to support it. The photo was taken on the eastern coast of the Triangle by local hunter Tim Ackerman. And Tim's now keen to revisit a hidden site in the mountains above the town, one that has special significance to the native community. He knows that on the rock face here are age-old paintings that he thinks could relate to the mysterious marks he found in the snow.
There they are right there.
These rock paintings are in red ochre. They're thought to depict objects of significance as seen by the tribal shaman.
It's definitely a fish right there.
A fish, no doubt a salmon, the staple food of the area and of central importance to tribal culture.
The stick figure right here, you can see looks like the eyebrows and the 2 eyes and the face and then the 2 arms and legs coming down. This is what we would call the spirit helper for the shaman.
But it's this that Tim has come to see. It looks like a wheel, but the native people of the Americas didn't have wheeled transport. Tim believes it's the view from below of a UFO, similar to the one that he says landed in the snow.
I do believe that spoked wheel was what the shaman saw, and it's the 12 landing gear that came down in that circle matches what the traction, the snow is, the 12 points. And it's on the ceiling, not on the wall, so it was something that he saw up above.
Beside the circle is what Tim calls the flying wing, another mysterious flying craft that has been seen in the skies here.
I guess you could say the parts of the story come together and what he was depicting on the rock art.
For Tim, this is an ancient depiction of a super advanced alien craft, perhaps piloted by the same beings that made these footprints. We've sent Tim's photos to internationally renowned hunter and tracker Chuck Rowley. Chuck grew up in the Alaskan wilderness. If these footprints are of this world, then he will be able to identify them.
First of all, you have a 32-foot diameter circle with these marks that is made in the snow, and there is no known animal that I'm aware of that would make a circle like this. In addition to this circular indentation pattern, there are these tracks we found. Now, these tracks are very interesting. I've never seen a track like this in Alaska. I do a lot of hunting and tracking of animals, identifying tracks. I can't explain this. This is a strange track. It's almost star-shaped. It's from a flat-footed creature, and to me it looks like some kind of weird reptilian, I don't know what.
An unknown bipedal reptilian with a stride of 1.5 feet.
So I can't explain it, and the fact that it's next to the circular indentation, to me, is very interesting. Never seen prints like this before.
Back in Vancouver, Johnny Enoch is convinced the UFOs are with us here and now, and they're watching us.
I think we are a great zoological experiment to them. They're highly fascinated by us. They're checking on us, just like you would check on your pet, seeing how our environment is doing, what we're getting up to. In my opinion, they're doing nothing more than taking samples, exploring the biodiversity, and maybe checking on the flora and fauna.
If so, the Alaska Triangle would be the perfect place. But for Michael Dillon, there's more to it than that. He believes that the military's release of the UFO videos in 2020 is a sign not only that the military is in contact with the UFOs, but that something big is being planned, and releasing the videos is one step in preparing us.
The fact that they're doing this leads me to believe that they're getting us ready for something, which would mean they would have to have had some type of intelligence, and the easiest way to get that intelligence would have been by contact. So I think that they're just getting further and further and further to the point where we're gonna have something really big happen here in Alaska.
Whatever the truth, the evidence is building that there is a UFO presence in the Alaska Triangle. And if they're now visiting us on the ground, then the consequences for all of us could be staggering. Alaska, a dangerous place whose history is littered with thousands of unexplained disappearances. One of the strangest happened in July 2012 in Seward, on the southern edge of the Alaska Triangle. This mysterious vanishing occurred during a running race on the mountain that towers over this town, Mount Marathon. Journalist Andrew Goff has been investigating.
The Mount Marathon race is infamous for its cruelty. The route is only 3 miles long, but up a grueling 3,000-foot slope to the race summit before rushing back down to the finish line. It's not for the faint-hearted.
At 3 p.m., around 1,000 competitors set off. One of them, a fit 65-year-old runner, made his way up the mountain.
The weather was a bit foggy, but you could clearly see the race summit. Even the spectators can see the runners making their way up the mountain and back down again, and they cheer them on. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary on that day.
Nearly 3 hours later, the 65-year-old became one of the last stragglers of the race. But he was determined to reach the summit.
A race official told him he had just 200 feet to go to the summit. Took his bib number and expected to see him over the finish line in about 90 minutes.
But 90 minutes came and went, and the runner never made it back down the mountain. Organizers launched an urgent search and rescue mission, as local Alaskan writer Steve Levi remembers.
We're talking about a full-blown search because this is right in the middle of the mountain marathon, which means that there were lots of state troopers down there, lots of people, and when he was missing, everybody went looking for him, and he was just gone, vanished.
Helicopters with heat-seeking equipment hunted desperately for days. But with no sign of the missing runner, the search was called off. Vancouver-based researcher Johnny Enoch has been looking into this case.
This story is so terrifying. In full view, in front of thousands of people watching that race, he just disappears off the mountain.
And is never seen again. No sign, no clues. He disappears into the ether.
To this day, he is gone. They have not found the body, not a piece of clothing, nothing, nothing. He just vanished.
With no sign of the runner ever found, this disappearance has baffled all experts. But perhaps this points to the triangle at work. Planes here have reported strange electromagnetic interference moments before crashing to Earth. The same forces could have led the runner to his fate.
Could the strange magnetic forces of the triangle have somehow steered him off course? We just don't know. It's a complete mystery.
Over 16,000 people have gone missing in the last 30 years, presumed dead in strange circumstances. Is it possible that many of these were due to alien abductions?
On the western edge of the triangle lies Nome, which appears to be the epicenter for dozens of these strange disappearances. Brian Kulik lost 2 relatives in mysterious circumstances in this region. And he's linked it to a sinister incident he had near the town of Teller when he was in high school.
One day, right around midnight, I was down in Teller and I decided to go home. It's a 2-mile drive.
Suddenly, Brian says a strange object appeared ahead of him.
It was heading towards me and I turned and I looked. And what I saw, it was a round stainless steel, highly polished machine. And it moved really, really fast.
This UFO was now hovering above him.
And it shined a really bright light at me. And it was almost like an arc light, like a welding light. It kind of blinded you. I thought that I was going to get abducted. I got the shakes. Maybe I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was the most scariest thing that I ever saw.
Luckily for Brian, it seems the UFO decided on a change of course.
It went up in the air, and it zipped back the way it came.
It seemed Brian had been spared.
I broke down crying. I got really nervous, and that's when I realized I just had a close call with a UFO. To this day, it still scares me.
To add further weight to the alien abduction theory, journalist Andrew Goff has found evidence of UFO activity around the region of Nome in the U.S. Air Force's official record of UFO sightings, Project Blue Book.
An incident is reported as far back as the 19th of August, 1960. A round white object, red at the base, was seen flying over the city, hovering for nearly 4 minutes. Then it disappeared over the horizon. 2 hours later, the same mysterious object was reported once again. More recently, on October 30th, 2011, a Mutual UFO Network case file reports a star-like object in the night sky for several hours. According to the file, it made turns, changed directions, all at extremely high speeds. This just adds to the weight of evidence that there is some sinister extraterrestrial activity in and around Nome.
The reason why Nome has been targeted by UFOs could lie in its secret Cold War history. 60-foot antennas were built here to detect and warn the military of a Soviet invasion. And they remain as a navigational aid for aircraft to this day. Perhaps alien intelligence is using them too.
So could extraterrestrials be using them to navigate to some kind of alien base deep underground or in the water off the coast?
Some local residents say they've had sightings to support this theory.
There might be underwater bases around just because there's so many sightings of things in the water, of lights. I think what I saw might have been a UFO heading towards an underwater base.
Are these strange disappearances part of mass experiments on humans by this unknown alien life form?
We can only assume that extraterrestrials that are coming here from thousands of light years away in these very advanced vehicles probably are equipped with scientists that are highly fascinated by our biodiversity. So why wouldn't they be abducting humans to take samples?